In December 2020, the SEC Securities Exchange Commission sued Ripple because the company and its executives sold XRP worth $1.3 billion, which the SEC considers to be unregistered securities, just like the stocks of a company. The lawsuit alone was enough to scare the centralized exchanges in the US into delisting the XRP, which is a big reason for XRP lagging behind other cryptos. Naturally, many XRP holders wished for the case to be judged in favor of Ripple, and their wish seemed to be going well, as Ripple had prepared a strong defense against allegations imposed on them. Such optimism can be seen clearly as RIPPLE CEO Brad Garlinghouse has been content in the court hearings continuously in favor of Ripple. He says on the 14th of April 2022, Thursday, while addressing the main stage of Paris blockchain at the fireside chat, that the SEC case is going much better than he hoped. The lawsuit has gone exceedingly well and much better than I could have hoped when it began about 15 months ago, said CEO Brad. Garlinghouse said there's a lot at stake if his company does not win the lawsuit. This case is important, not just for Ripple, it's more important for the entire crypto industry in the United States, said Brad Garlinghouse. According to the SEC complaint, Ripple, Christian Larson, the company's co-founder, executive chairman of its board and former CEO, and Bradley Garlinghouse, the company's current CEO, raised capital to finance the company's business. The complaint stated that the company Ripple sold its digital asset XRP and raised funds as unregistered securities to investors in the United States and worldwide. The allegations also include that Ripple distributed billions of XRP for marketing purposes and labor costs. According to the complaint, in addition to marketing and promoting the sales of XRP token, which was used to finance the company's business, Chris Larson and William Garlinghouse also manipulated sales for personal benefit, totaling $600 million. Lastly, the main takeaway from these allegations is that the company Ripple failed to register their offers and sales of XRP and couldn't satisfy the Securities Exchange Commission with any exemption from registration, which goes in violation of the registration provisions of the federal securities laws. While giving an update about the recent hearing, he stated that the stance and the core question the SEC is taking in the complaints is that, is XRP a security? Did the CEO Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple co-founder Chris Larson sell XRP as an unregistered security? Ripple has already clarified that the purpose of XRP is to have a fast and less costly transfer of money and that it should be treated as a cryptocurrency. CEO Brad stated in an interview on the 14th of April, "I think that in the United States the laws have not been clear, and for the SEC to say that you should have known all along, referring to XRP status as a security, it's a hard case." Ripple has used this in their fair defense case a lot, stating that Ripple had been selling XRP before, but why is it that now it has occurred to the SEC to question the status of XRP as security? Now we must define securities. Securities includes bonds, stocks, and recently approved and listed Bitcoin ETF, etc. These assets are required to be registered with the SEC before being sold, otherwise these sales are illegal. In a hearing in July, Ripple requested the court to depose the former SEC Director William Hinman regarding his statement. To explain this, we look back to William Hinman's statement that Ethereum is not a security because it's sufficiently decentralized. Even though the SEC resisted the request stating that Bill's statement were his personal opinion, the judge fired back to the SEC that Hinman's personal views affect the SEC's regulations, especially since Hinman had specified his opinion of Ethereum security status arose after discussing it with the SEC commissioners. The comments come from a RippleNet community lawyer's announcement that Ripple had secured a very big win against the SEC after presiding judge Sarah Nedburn denied the SEC's request to reconsider shielding the documents under privilege. The documents were related to a speech delivered by former SEC Director William Hinman where he specified that Bitcoin and Ether are not securities. In other words, the SEC will now have to release these emails and draft versions of the 2018 speech of William Hinman. Does Brad say that the question is Ether a security? Even though the former director had said that it is not, they would deny it. When the court asked them, he said they won't answer that question. Ripple's fair notice defense pleads that the SEC failed to provide fair notice and that its conduct was in violation of the law. They are saying that there is a clarity, but they won't provide the clarity, said Brad Garlinghouse. If Ripple loses, it will result in most of the tokens trading on United States exchanges being deemed as securities. That would mean that the exchanges would be forced to register with the SEC, as brokers and exchanges would be compelled to register the identity of all the token holders. If you determine XRP as a security of Ripple, we have to know every person that owns XRP, he said. That's an SEC requirement. You have to know all of your shareholders. It's not possible. This could set a precedent that the exchanges would have to register with the SEC, which is contradictory to the purpose of cryptocurrencies being decentralized. On March 12th, the court accepted Ripple's fair notice defense, stating, Ripple is entitled to a full opportunity to assert its fair notice defense and have it adjudicated before a plaintiff may impose liability. Today's order makes it clear there's a serious question whether the SEC ever provided Ripple with fair notice that its distributions of XRP since 2013 would ever be prohibited under the securities law, said Stuart Elderody, Ripple's representative. The CEO Brad Garlinghouse tweeted, "If you weren't paying attention then, you should be now." Huge win for Ripple today, and while we would have preferred the cases against Chris and me to end now, the SEC must now prove its claims. We're confident that ultimately all of them will be dismissed. Brad is very positive about the final verdict of the hearing and that the case would soon be over with Ripple securing the win. His confidence stems from the support of the XRP army, which is the XRP holder. These holders even requested the court to let them join the case in defense of Ripple, but the court rejected the request. Later on, the court allowed the holders to present their views in front of the court on the condition that they can't provide any evidence. This proved to be very fruitful as it allowed the judges to better understand arguments of both sides. Speaking of evidence, earlier this month, a non-profit organization, Empowerment Oversight, publicized a set of emails of internal SEC discussions that contained evidence of improper conduct by SEC officials involved in the Ripple lawsuit and exposed a conflict of interest. The evidence suggested that the William Hinman warned about a potential conflict of interest with the Ripple lawsuit, that these yet-to-be-released emails may prove that SEC has been selectively targeting the cryptocurrency industry. Another reason for his confidence is Brad's firm belief in XRP technology. To give a small introduction, XRP is a digital asset built for global payments. XRP allows users to send the money at a very low cost, which is attractive for retail customers and banks. Brad has been of the view that Ripple is better than Bitcoin. He says that Bitcoin is great as a digital gold and it's one of the best and largest projects out there, but Ripple's company's XRP provides a much faster and more convenient method of sending money overseas, which is not the case for Bitcoin, as it's not as fast and is also costly. Brad Garlinghouse sees a positive future for Ripple, but he has concerns with the US laws. Surely, the US has not been clear on the laws for crypto regulations and the status of cryptocurrency as compared to other countries which have provided a much better and optimal environment for cryptocurrencies to operate and maintain their identities as decentralized technology. If the case with the SEC is settled, the XRP price may jump up a lot considering its sideways and relatively slow progress as compared to other cryptocurrencies. Some crypto analysts have argued that XRP could be in store for a massive rally if the SEC does settle its case against Ripple in the coming weeks or months. Bulls would likely look for XRP to break out to fresh year-to-date highs, perhaps above the $1 level, which could open the door to run towards H2 2021 highs in the upper $1.3 over $1.4 area. In conclusion, Ripple has scored continuous wins in its court's hearings, and it is expected, according to Ripple's CEO, that the final win is very near. This also shows what the SEC stance on cryptocurrency is, and it would be a red flag if any cryptocurrency ever falls on their radar. This also raises the question of the laws and regulations of the United States and how it seems that the authority is set on making it difficult for cryptocurrencies to operate in a controlled and regulated manner. If Ripple does score a victory, we could see the SEC losing its aggressive pursuit of the crypto industry.